Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Man, today is like the most awesome episode ever. I get to talk to two guys that just won $1 million catching bass. I mean, just, it gives me goosebumps to think about it. I've never won $1 million in one event, never got to fish an event, let alone that paid $1 million cash. Yet I got the two guys right here on my channel that just won $1 million. Let's check it out. All right, so I got Logan Parks and Tucker Smith. Both of you guys, correct me if I'm wrong, from Auburn. That's where like Jordan Lee and Matt Lee are from? Is that like true?
Yes, sir. We go to Auburn University.
How awesome is that? And if I'm right, and also Auburn's playing Alabama this weekend.
That's right.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
we need OU being an OU fan and now an OSU fan, because I think OSU might be better than OU this year. We need Auburn to beat Alabama, so at least maybe a Big 12 school can get over there into the college football playoff. But you think Auburn can do it today?
I hope so. I really do.
Yeah, I do too. It doesn't really matter. You guys are sitting on top of the world. Just won $1 million at the Bass Pro Shops US Open over at Table Rock. I know this gets asked all the time, man, has it sunk in? Like, what was the next morning like, the drive home? What was, tell the viewer, the other anglers out there that are just like, what is it like winning $1 million?
It's a lot of emotions for sure. I mean, we woke up at the hotel the next morning, like both checked our phones real quick to make sure it was still real, and just driving home, like random times just driving home, we would just be like, yeah! And we'd roll the windows down, start screaming and hollering, just because it's hard to believe, but it's pretty incredible for sure.
No doubt. Did you like, just on the way home, I know like when I was your age, money was tight. Like, I would only eat at certain spots, and like on the way home, did you splurge a little bit? Maybe buy a steak or just, I can afford this tonight. Did any of that stuff happen on the way home, or something where you thought, I could afford that now if I wanted to get it?
I mean, when we were driving home, we really I think when we won the tournament, came back to the cabin, I think we just made a sandwich and got some McDonald's on the way back home. But
Nothing.
now that we've got that winning, I think me and Logan are definitely going to use it for bigger tournaments, try to make it pro, eventually.
Yes.
So
Awesome.
it's really going to help out a lot with that, and not having to have a payment on a truck and a boat would be really nice too.
Yeah, that will take a lot of pressure off, and when you can fish pressure free, it makes all the difference in the world. Have you deposited the money yet?
I deposited it yesterday morning. I actually had to call my cousin that I work with at the bank. I said, can I deposit a check for $500,000? He said, well, I've never had anybody ask that question before. But that was the daily limit for mobile deposit, so we're good.
Yeah, that'll last for a long time. That's pretty cool. So the way I understand it, did you guys try to fish one of the qualifying events prior to the Bull Shoals event?
We did not. Bull Shoals was the only one we tried to get into, and my dad actually texted both of us and was like, "Hey, I just saw this pop up on my email. Do you guys want to fish it?" And we were like, "Sure, I mean, let's go fish for $1 million, And we never really thought anything of it, but we jumped in that. We actually were in South Carolina for a college tournament at Wiley, and we went straight from there to Bull Shoals. We got a day and a half of practice at Bull Shoals.
Had you ever been there before?
We had never been there before, and we graphed around. We fished shallow for like 30 minutes, and we were just like, this isn't happening. We graphed around out deep and found some creeks with some shad in it, and you could see the bait and the fish in the bait on side scan. And we would drop the troll motor down and use live sonar to catch them. And then at Table Rock, we checked a bunch of creeks and we couldn't really find the bait, but we saw some activity and birds on the main river, so we pulled out in the main river and graphed around, and the shad were just loaded. And we only had half a day of practice for Table Rock, so we really used the first 2 days of the tournament as practice as well. And we fished new water all week and just chased the bait. So it was really cool.
That is so awesome. I say it all the time on my channel, fish the current deal. And that goes to show you guys, have you ever been to Bull Shoals before?
But not.
I fished Bull Shoals once in college in April, so completely different.
Yeah,
I've
completely
never
different.
been. It was cool.
That lake fluctuates like 30 feet. So guys, everybody watching this video, take something from what these guys did. Drove from South Carolina all the way to Bull Shoals. The Bull Shoals qualifying event was a last chance qualifying event. There was 8 qualifying events throughout the year. One of them was here at Grand, one out west at Meade. They were all across the country. And the top 50 teams out of each one of those, 40 or 50 teams, would make it into this championship. Well, they had a last chance qualifying one right before this Table Rock Championship. So these guys drove from South Carolina, didn't get any sleep at all, had a tournament out there, practice for a day and a half on probably one of the toughest bodies of water that time of the year, deep. All electronics, but yet found those fish as they were going. And then had a half a day of practice at Table Rock because they just qualified for Table Rock, and they won $1 million. So I think a big part of that makes great anglers like what we have here on this Zoom call, they just fish by the seat of their pants. They fish that current conditions of what's happening and not fishing history. And it's just, man, that for me, like when I have bad tournaments, I'm all the time chasing history. And like I've said before, like, the events I've won are always on bodies of water. Like the very first time I saw it was the first day of practice. And it just goes to show you guys did the exact same thing, Table Rock, half a day of practice, figuring out, practicing as the tournament goes on. So what was the bait? Like I saw something that maybe you were drop shotting some or Demiki rigging, or what were you guys using both on Bull Shoals and Table Rock?
We were throwing at them with the Demiki rig. We kind of changed up the head, the weight, like we started out throwing a quarter, but those fish were so deep and it took so long to get down to them that they would be gone by the time we did. So we changed that up to a 3/8 ounce, but we're just using like a fluke style bait. We caught a good bit on the Berkeley Maxent flat nose minnow on the back of just a jig head, but we were actually, instead of vertically fishing like you would most of the time with a Demiki rig, we were pitching to them because that water was so clear, and I guess those fish were so finicky. They'd been fished for 6 days by 300 plus boats that they wouldn't hit it if they were 40 feet or closer to your boat. So we were looking at them with, the Panoptics and catching them all, just throwing out to them. They'd sit under the bait, and we would pitch our baits out there and let it sink through the bait and start twitching it back to the boat, and that's when they would come up and eat it.
How deep were they?
They were anywhere from, 40, 50 feet all the way out to 150. So they were just suspended out in the middle, just off points and flats and over deep road beds and stuff like that.
So when you say 150 feet, that's the bottom. The fish weren't in 150 feet.
The fish were suspended in probably about 20 to 40 feet. The feeding fish were up on top of the water column.
And did you catch any largemouth, or was it all smallmouth and spotted bass?
We caught
smallmouth and spots usually.
Yeah, we caught two good largemouth at Bull Shoals, but we were never able to run into them at Table Rock.
Did you ever lose any fish the first couple days or the third day that you're like, man, it really hurt?
We didn't ever lose any. Actually, the championship day, the last day, Logan caught a big smallmouth, and the hook was completely almost bent out. We were like, oh my gosh, how did we get that in the boat? But it was just meant to be, and I really think God was looking out for us. It was crazy.
Meant to be.
Yeah.
That is so cool. So how'd you guys meet? Like, just how long have you guys been partners or friends, or how did that all go down?
We kind of started, I guess, we knew of each other because, we both grew up fishing high school in Alabama. And then, I feel like everybody probably knows Tucker, who at that time had won 2 high school national championships back to back, which like never happens. And I was in need of a partner to fish in college my senior year. And I know he was looking at where to go to school, and like COVID was happening, and it was just a bunch of weird stuff going on. I was like, look, dude, like I know you got some scholarship offers. I can't offer you that. I was the president of Auburn University at the time of the fishing team. I was like, can't give you a scholarship, but if you come to Auburn, we can fish together. I can, help show you the ropes, and you can show me, a lot of what you know, and I think we'd make a good pair. And he came to Auburn, and that's what happened. I guess it's been awesome ever since. We fished really well together and complement each other.
You think? Just $1 million.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. So awesome. That's cool. So you guys have siblings? I mean, is like any other family members really big time fishermen in your families?
My grandfather and my uncle, they fish a lot, and they were the ones that kind of got me into it. But our dads really don't fish much. They just support us with everything they have. They're just super supportive. But we've had some good mentors in our life, and I know I've had people like Joey Nania. He's been a huge mentor, and then also Aaron Martins. He was a huge mentor for me too. I was really close to him, and just to win that event on Table Rock, that was his last big win. Was on Table Rock, and it really meant something special to me. I actually had a reel that he gave me. I had a reel that he gave me strapped on the front deck the whole tournament too, so it was pretty special.
Wow. Special individual. He was a mentor to all of us, taught us all a lot. I seen that on your social media. I follow both of you guys on Instagram, and I saw some of that stuff where you fished with Aaron. And special individual. Special. One of the best. Never will be another one.
He is. Yes, sir.
So tell all the viewers exactly, like, what just took place. What was this event? Tell me again, like, what happened? Like, what is this that you just went and did and won $1 million?
We fished the first Bass Pro Shops U.S. Open Amateur National Team Championship, and we won $1 million, 2 trucks, and 2 boats.
Awesome. You can't say that enough. So just to reiterate what he said right there, it's an amateur trail. I couldn't fish it. Like Kevin Van Dam couldn't fish it. The Lee brothers couldn't fish it. They'd all won too much money. What was the stipulation? Like, what was the cutoff on money for like people to be able to enter this event?
100,000
over their life. Is that what it was?
I think so, wasn't it, Logan?
Yeah, it was 100,000 over your life, and you couldn't have paid, I think, more than 2,500 for an entry fee.
Wow.
Ever. So.
Yeah, that's really cool. So it's just amateurs only. It was meant to. Like when I was over there at Grand, there's a lot of father sons, grandsons, and grandpas and grandsons, and there's brothers. Just all kinds of people. There's people fishing out of pontoon boats. It was a trail meant to bring new people out there and to competitive fish, which is really, really cool. Thus, both you guys, how old are you, Tucker?
I'm 20.
20. Logan, I think you're 23. Is that right?
Yes, sir. I'm 23.
That's so cool. So cool. I got some other questions I want to ask you. You kind of answered how you ended up being a team. I'd say, you kind of got recruited there. That's pretty cool how Logan recruited you, Tucker.
Oh yeah.
What do you say was probably the most difficult part for you in winning this event? Like what was the obstacles? What were some turning points in this event that you thought, man, I might have a chance to win this?
I would say.
You can go ahead, Logan, if you want.
You got it.
I was gonna say, the deep bite for the championship, it didn't get started till about 10 o'clock every day, and that was pretty tough to not get many bites for 3-4 hours a day. And it was the same at Bull Shoals. We just knew from previous days being out there and the way we were fishing that once that wind picked up and once the day got a little bit later, they would start biting. So especially on championship day, it was really hard to sit out there and fish around with not getting many bites for 3 or 4 hours because we had one fish at 10 o'clock. And from 10 to 10:30, we caught 15 pounds. So it was just, having the patience to sit out there was very hard. And, we knew if we had gone to the bank, we had given up. So we had to stay out there and wait for those fish to fire because we knew we were out there. We were looking at them, but they didn't have the right conditions to bite yet. And then we were blessed by seeing, you know, a flock of seagulls and loons diving, and at 10 o'clock, and we pulled over there, and it was lights out. There was bait balls with 3+ pounders under them, and it was you know, really fun just catching them.
What were you gonna say, Logan?
I was gonna say the same thing pretty much. I would say another thing that it was, you know, that made it even more like amplified was that, you know, we have a camera guy in the boat filming us. So it's like, I knew he was probably wanting to leave, but he stuck it out with us. I'm like, and he said he was going to bounce around, and I'm glad that he ended up staying with us, because that just adds more pressure. And then also just, it was kind of challenging not to go and do something irrational. Like, we caught 13 pounds the first 2 days in a row, and we caught some 3-pounders, but we were catching a lot of 2.5s, and we weren't really positive that. I thought on a really good day we'd catch 15, you know, like catch 5 3-pounders. I didn't think that we had the caliber fish to win, and just trusting the process and doing what we wanted to do, and not going and throwing like a glide bait or doing something stupid. Like, just sticking with it was kind of difficult for me, but I'm glad that we did, and it worked out.
That is super cool. Super cool. You know, the little bit that I know about the lakes around this part of the country, you know, generally at 10 o'clock is when the generation happens. Is that what was happening over there at Table Rock? Did they start moving some water? Do you think that's what was holding those fish back to bite at 10 o'clock?
I mean, I don't know. We never really knew the generation schedule. We didn't look at it, but actually at 10 o'clock the wind picked up and it started blowing. So before then it was calm. So I mean, either the generation or the wind was blowing the bait around. So
you mentioned career goals. You know, I guess the next step for you guys is going to be trying to take it to that next level. Is that the plan? I mean, I don't know. Are you going to try to graduate first? Are you going to jump straight off into you know, bigger tournaments and professional fishing, or do you guys want to try to graduate first? I guess that question's really for you, Tucker. You're being the sophomore.
You know, I'm really just trying to keep going through college and fishing, because I'm only 20 years old. I really don't feel like I'm all, I mean, I feel like I'm not super ready to just go all in. So I kind of want to travel the country a little bit more, you know, with college. This last year, I've learned more last year than I would have ever thought I've learned. I've been, you know, from New York to from across the country, everywhere. So like, I'm really curious to see in the next couple of years how much I'll actually learn traveling more. So I'd like to keep fishing college and mix in some opens. I'm actually fishing 3 Southerns this year, but and I'm going to mix in some Toyotas too. So I'm just fishing around and going through college too. So I'm going to take it slow and try to learn as much as I can.
Yep, I'd say that's great goals. Logan, what about you?
I'm signed up for all 9 of the opens for this
All
spring.
right,
Yeah,
that's gonna be a schedule.
And then I'm graduating in a couple weeks, but I have 6 months of eligibility for college. So I think me and Tucker are going to run it back next season on top of the opens.
Awesome. Cool,
It's going to be packed.
Yeah, that's cool. So you guys got $1 million. What is your plans to do with that $1 million?
Probably going to save a lot of it, try and invest wisely, and obviously have a fallback plan if the professional fishing doesn't work out. But it definitely makes the goal of professional fishing a lot more feasible now and a lot more affordable. You know, I'm not super strapped for cash and worried about if I'm going to be able to make ends meet now, and that's really nice confidence booster to have when you're fishing.
I don't know about you, but I'm going to the casino. No, I'm just kidding. I'm like Logan said, I want to save it and be wise with it. You know, put it somewhere safe and use it for trying to make it to that next level. And I think that's what Johnny Morris intended. You know, when he was given the money, I know he intended us to try to make it to that next step and use it wisely. So that's what we're going to do.
You know, one thing I think is really cool about the event that we hadn't talked about in this video, is I think I read that it was $1.5 million that Johnny put back into fish habitat, fish conservation through this whole event. You know, all 8 of those qualifying events, you know, there's an entry fee. Your event that you fish, there's an entry fee. All of that, 100% of it goes back into fish conservation, which is really, really cool about the Bass Pro Shops US Open, I think. Pretty neat deal just to help future generations, you know, your kids down the road to make sure that there's going to be fish and habitat for them, but pretty cool deal. How can people follow along? You know, I know you guys are like your stardom, your fandom. There's going to be people wanting to follow you on Instagram and YouTube. So like, tell us all how we can follow you and keep up with the 2 guys that won $1 million in bass fishing.
You can check me out on Instagram at Logan_Parks_fishing. I've got my Instagram page, which is one of the social medias I use the most. But if you click the link in my bio, it'll take you to all my other social medias. So that's how you can check me out.
We'll put a link up here on the bottom of that so people can remember that. What about you, Tucker?
Yeah, I'd say my Instagram is Tucker Smith Fishing. That's what I use most. And then I'm starting up a TikTok too, so y'all can check it out.
Oh, cool. All right. You'll be TikTok famous.
Yes, sir.
All right. Guys, I cannot thank you enough for being on this, you know, taking time out. I know you guys have got a super busy schedule with everybody and being in such high demand right now. But if you're ever in Oklahoma, man, look me up, give me a call. You got my number. Be more than happy to help you. Welcome to stay at the house. I'm so excited for you guys. And, man, congratulations. I don't know what else to say, but congratulations. And thank you for taking the time to be on here with me.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it. Thank you so much.